Well, liability issues can often arise for landowners when it comes to activities on their property. However, a recent case out of Texas focuses on an incident happening off the property. It's raising the question of responsibility, or lack thereof, to trim trees near roadways. The man to break this down for us, Roger McEowen with the Washburn School of Law. So, Roger, big question. I think a lot of people scratch their head over this one. First of all, let's start with a recap of this issue. Give us the story here behind this case.
Yeah, good to be with you, Suzanne. There was a windstorm in this Texas town. This was East Texas, and it uprooted a large oak tree on the farm, and it fell across a road, and a driver hit the tree and sued for her injuries. Her claim basically was that the farmer failed to inspect his premises, or her premises in this situation, to ensure that objects on the farm were not a hazard to motorists. And the farmer pointed out that there was no evidence that she had received any notice regarding problems with the tree, and produced an affidavit from an arborist that the tree was healthy and would have required tremendous wind to blow it down, which is what happened.
So that's the situation here, right? I mean, that she should have been notified. Is that maybe the issue at hand, that she had not heard from anybody?
Yeah, that was the claim, that basically that you have to keep a lookout on your property and make sure that any passing motorist would not be injured. But the court ruled for the farmer here. There is no duty to parties that are injured off your premises, because you're not in possession of that roadway. You're not in control of those areas. And the court said that you don't owe a duty as a farm owner to make an adjoining road safe or to warn travelers of potential danger. Now, there can be exceptions, and the court noted this. There can be exceptions in special situations, but none of those applied in this case. For example, the farm was in a rural area. That's an important point. There was no evidence that the farmer knew or should have known of the danger posed by the tree. It had no outward signs of decay, and so the danger wasn't evident. She didn't know that she had any type of duty to take any action with respect to the tree, and that's a key point.
So for farmers, landowners, what they really need to know here when it comes to this case?
General rule, no liability for things that happen off your premises, but use common sense. Look for dead or decayed trees that might cause a problem. And don't intentionally create hazards for motorists. Maybe don't blow grass or weeds or debris under a roadway, and maybe don't plant what would be a tall crop close to the corner. Maybe back it off a little bit. Just use common sense, but general rule is no duty.
Before we wrap up, the Chevron Doctrine overturned. Big win for agriculture? Huge win. I was involved in a case that was 18 years in battling the federal government, and largely because of the deference the agency was given. The court clearly said this morning that the courts are the ones to interpret unclear statutes, not the bureaucrats. They said agencies have no special competence in this area. And ag producers are subject to many regulations, and this changes the way that the agencies will have to process and apply their regulations. And a key point here is there is a swamp buster case that's been sitting there since last summer, waiting for the court to decide whether to take it. I think they passed on that until they decided this case, or these two cases today. And I think they'll now send the swamp buster case back to the 8th Circuit for a decision consistent with today's opinion. So potentially huge implications there. Before I let you go, real quick, for a lot of producers and farmers right now going, well, are they going to get a closer look at legislation, at regulations, at what has already been defined? How will this kind of impact some of those decisions?
Oh, okay, the court was clear. That's a great question. The court said this applies prospectively only. So the previous cases that have been decided based on Chevron deference stay put. But going forward, the deference standard now has changed. There's a higher threshold that will apply to the agencies, and that's important going forward. Less deference to these administrative agencies, including USDA, FSA, and their manuals. But prior decisions decided under Chevron prior to today stay on the books.
Very important. Thank you so much, Roger. Always great to have you here. Roger McEowen with the Washburn School of Law.